Good morning, students. I hope that everyone had a great break and we're ready to go, finish up the third quarter. So, without further ado, there's a few things that I wanted to point out in terms of your work, the quality of your work submission. Please, as you can see here, it says please make sure your notes have a header that includes your name, the lesson, and the date. All right. So that's something that we want to see going forward. We've stressed it, but I want to put it there. Also, your notes should be handwritten. All right. Pay close attention to the videos, whatever is asked of you. As you know, we always put a little pencil mark to show what you need to do. So what does that mean? Your work should not be, right? You should not just create a Google Doc and take a picture of it and upload it. We want to actually see that you're doing the work. All right, with that being said, we're going to go into the lesson. As you can see, for this lesson, you have two IXLs, IXL CC2 and IXL CC4. All right, the objective, or one of the objectives for today's lesson, is compare linear, quadratic, and exponential functions on a graph. So that's the first thing that we're going to look at. All right, so comparing functions of a graph, a linear function. What is a linear function? All right, is a straight line. All right, the graph of a linear function is a straight line, as you can see here. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way, but it can go straight. All right, but it's a straight line. If the given graph is curved, then it is not linear. All right, so another type, we have a quadratic function. The graph of a quadratic function is a parabola that opens up or down. So most people normally say it's a U-shaped function. All right, it's open either up or down. All right, and then an exponential function. The graph of an exponential function has one horizontal asymptote. Where's my asymptote? My horizontal asymptote is right here. All right, so the graph here, it has one horizontal asymptote. All right, if the graph has one horizontal asymptote, it is an exponential function. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at a few examples and then you're going to complete the IXL, the first one. All right, so let's look at a few examples here. So if I go here, right, and the first type, it says what type of function does the graph show? All right, this is by just looking at it, we know that this is a quadratic function, and we know it's a quadratic function because it what? It is a parabola and it opens up. All right, so here for this one, I can say this is a quadratic. All right, we know that this is a quadratic function. Now, if we go to the second example, it says what type of function this is. We look at the second example here. It is a straight line. All right, so because this is a straight line, I know that this is going to be a linear. This is going to be a linear function. All right, and on the third one, we realize that this has an asymptote, a horizontal. Remember, horizontal is this right here. That's a horizontal line. So it has a horizontal asymptote. It doesn't touches the line, but it goes towards it. So we know that this is going to be an exponential function here. All right, so this is going to be an exponential. It's going to be an exponential function. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at some other possible things that you might see. All right, so this does look like an exponential function, but it has a vertical asymptote. It doesn't have a horizontal asymptote, it has a vertical asymptote. This is not a linear function because it's not a straight line, and it's not quadratic because it doesn't open up, right? So this is none. It's none of it, all right? All right, let's just write none of these. I think that's what you'll see on Excel, none of these. Let's look at the next one. So here, if you remember from a lesson we did earlier, this is an absolute value. It is neither quadratic, it's neither linear, it's not exponential. So again, this is none. None of these. None of these. All right. Again, this function is not quadratic it's not linear, and it's not exponential. So your answer in IXL again is going to be none of these. All right, none of these. So as you can see, this lesson is quite simple. All you're really doing for this lesson is you're identifying your quadratic functions by a graph, your linear functions by a graph, and your exponential functions by a graph. Be careful with exponential functions because remember it has to have a horizontal asymptote. All right, this one had a vertical asymptote. All right, so be careful with this. Okay, all right. So that's it for today's lesson.